Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we'll be taking a look at the Tecware Forge L ARGB. It's a big boy. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so in today's video we'll be taking a look at Tecware's Forge L ARGB. This is a mid-tower case, although it does support up to extended ATX motherboards. Plenty of room in there for lots of additional peripherals. We've got room for up to a 385mm graphics card, a 170mm CPU, and power supplies of basically any size you want. There's an absolute cavernous size in there for PSUs in that big basement. Also included straight out of the box, we've got 4 addressable RGB fans. We've got 3 140mm fans up front, which is from Tecware's Omni range, and in the back we've got a single 120mm, again from that Omni range. So if you want to, you can add to those. There's plenty of room for more fans in there. You can, if you want to, you can put a 120mm fan actually in the basement section, and also you can put 3 more 120s in the top, or another 2 140mm. Also you can put combinations of radiators in here, so anything up to a 420mm up front, and on the top we can fit up to a 360mm radiator, which is awesome. So tons of flexibility, loads and loads of room for storing big components in there. I'm really excited to use this one. This is actually going to be a replacement for my own personal video editing rig, so I'm really looking forward to putting all my kit into this one and seeing how well it does. Something which I've actually missed on a lot of cases recently is the ability to put a 360mm radiator in this top section. There aren't a great deal of cases which will actually do it. There are many cases on the market which will say, yes, we can put 3 120mm fans, which most people think that in turn means you can install a 360mm radiator, which generally means you can't. Radiators are generally a little bit longer. Most of them are somewhere in the region of around about 400mm, some a little bit less, ones such as the Freezer 360, looking around about 389mm. I have actually measured the top of this, so if you are planning to put a 360mm radiator in here, you've got somewhere in the region of about 402mm available in this top section. So most 360mm rads will go in there, absolutely no problems at all. Do check your manufacturer before you actually install it. And Tecware themselves actually do have a new 360mm radiator come out very soon, so hopefully when that comes out we'll try that in here and see how well it fits. I'm sure it's going to fit absolutely fine. So we should get into the review of this and the unboxing and go through the whole process. I will say straight away, there is actually a giveaway plan. Tecware UK have actually reached out to me and said, Mike, would you like to take a look at this case? In which case, yes, obviously I would, because it really does excite me, all the opportunities. But also it can be exciting for you guys out there. We are actually doing a giveaway of this case, all the details of which will be in the video description below, so if you want to get involved with that. It is only for UK members, unfortunately, so you do have to be in the UK to enable you to take part in this competition. That is down to Tecware UK, obviously that is the UK arm of the company. But anyway, all the details of that are going to be in the video description, so please do check that out. So with all that out of the way, let's take a look at the case and see what it has to offer. So obviously, like we said, up front, tons and tons of room, 3 140mm ARGB fans, absolutely awesome. We've got this really nice polygon style mesh, which is very reminiscent of the design from things like the Meshify case. This panel comes off very easily. We've got a grab handle on the bottom. All it needs is a quick tug and this will come off the front. With the front panel off, you can see there's a really nice mesh which is going to let lots and lots of airflow through, but it's actually tight enough so that it is going to filter a lot of dust and debris. With the filter out of the way, or the front out of the way, we can see these 3 huge fans. These are 140mm fans. It probably doesn't look it. The case itself doesn't look massive, which it should do really considering the size of these fans, but we have got 3 140mm addressable RGB fans on here, which again is part of Tecware's Omni range. These are fully wired, so you've actually got a cable for addressable RGB, which is your standard 5V addressable RGB, and also you've got a 4-pin PWM style connection, all of which are neatly routed into the hub, which is actually in the back, which is all of it you can get separately. So if you want to buy the fans, you can buy the fans. If you want to buy the hub, you can buy the hub. But the case itself comes with all those included to save you any additional expense. Now, talking of expense, this case at the moment in the UK, the cheapest I've seen it for is from CCL Online, and they're selling it currently for somewhere in the region of about £73, I believe it was, maybe 74. I'll try and get a screen grab of that on the video so you can see exactly the price. The normal recommended retail price for this is somewhere in the region of about £85 to £90, which there's an awful lot of competition there, really is. When it comes down to around about the £70 mark, I think it is a lot more of a compelling option, but let me know what you think in the comments section. So anyway, we've got the fans on the front. Fan speeds on these, rated speeds anywhere between 800 and 1800 RPM. Again, they are fully PWM controlled. I'm hoping they'll actually go down lower than 800. When I do the build and do some testing in this, which we'll see a little bit later in the video, we'll see what they go down to. I'm hoping they'll do 0 RPM, which a lot of fans will do, but a lot of manufacturers won't actually put it because some motherboards don't support it, etc. So we'll find out more about that a little bit later on. So moving around to the side, we've got a large tempered glass side panel, which is really nice thick panel, 4mm thick, and also there's a nice big black surround as well to give it a nice edging. Taking the side panel off is pretty simple and straightforward to do. There's 2 thumb screws. These are removable thumb screws, which I actually have got to the point now where I actually prefer it. Although some people don't because the screws can get lost, etc. I quite often find when I'm putting on side panels, especially with captive screws, the side panels just don't want to line up properly first of all. You get to the point where eventually you're going to end up threading the metal at the back there, so I actually prefer the removable ones. There is a handle on the back to remove the panel, and there is a very slight smoke tint to it as well. Nice heavy sturdy panel as well. So with the panel removed, we can see a little bit closer inside, and there's a lot to see. It's rather cavernous in here. You've got some rubber grommets here for passing through your 24-pin power connector and obviously graphics card connections, all that kind of stuff. One thing I would have liked to have seen on those is actually maybe a dual rail setup here. These are really designed for EATX, so they have been spaced out a little bit more. We'll certainly see later on in some of the video footage what it's actually like, how far the power supply cable has to stretch across to actually get to a more regular sized ATX motherboard. If I take off the back panel, we'll be able to see a little bit easier what is going on inside and get a bit more light inside. The back panel comes off very simply, again, just 2 thumb screws, and we can pull that side panel off. Nice weighty side panel, a little bit of flex to it, but not a great deal, but definitely nice and solid. So with that section out of the way, you can see a little bit clearly now what is going on. So at the top, we've got 3 large pass-throughs, roughly where your fans are going to be, radiators, etc. There is also actually a mesh panel at the top here, so another bit of filtration on the top, and taking it out gives us a little bit more light. And also you can see through to the very top, so we've got this nice hexagonal mesh on the top. Again, in there we can put in 3 120mm fans if you want to, 2 140mm fans. You can put in a 360mm radiator, 280mm radiator, 240mm radiator. You get the general idea. Tons and tons of flexibility. Also, there is a really large gap between where the radiators or fans are going to be and where the motherboard starts. So even if you're using a real thick boy radiator, you shouldn't have any issues whatsoever with things like VRMs and also having large RAM clearance issues. Moving down from there, we've got a big cutout here for gaining access to the back of your CPU cooler, if there's any hardware you need to gain access to there, all that kind of stuff. I/O shield section all nicely rounded off. Then we've got our 120mm fan here, which is the part of the Omni range game. This is the P120. Hexagonal mesh on the back to let the air flow out. We've got fully removable PCI Express covers on there as well. Again, all with that hexagonal mesh and a little bit of mesh on the side as well. This is a really well ventilated case. I'm really looking forward to using this. I think it's going to keep my components really nice and cool. Moving down, we've got some cutouts at the bottom here for passing through I/O connections for USB, front audio, all that kind of stuff. And this entire section here, again, following tradition for the rest of the case, hexagonal mesh pretty much all over. It does appear there's some extra cutouts in there for mounting a vertical GPU. There isn't any additional hardware included in the kit for doing that, so you will need to kind of source that yourselves. I don't think I've seen it mentioned actually on Tecware's site, so I'll check in with them and see what the deal is with that. Moving further down, so we've got this basement section with a cutout on the front. Personally, I would have probably liked to have seen that completely blanked off. It's down to individuals, I guess. If you've got a particularly nice power supply and you want to show off the label, then that's great that you can see it. But I think for a lot of people, they probably prefer to have that completely solid. Again, let me know what you think in the comments section. Moving forward towards the front, so this section here, you can see there's an absolute ton of room there for mounting a radiator. So even if you're getting this case and you're getting these lovely fans included and you're thinking, well, actually, I'd quite like to put a big radiator up front there, like a 420 or a 360. It isn't a problem, you can use these. These are high static pressure fans. Just mount your 360mm radiator behind, put your existing fans from that radiator on the back, and you can have yourself a push-pull configuration straight out of the box. So tons of other pass-throughs as well for cables, again for AIOs, all that kind of stuff. All of that stuff has been really well thought out. I like it a lot. So tons and tons of room, tons and tons of ventilation, as you can see. Loads and loads of mesh on there. This is going to flow air extremely well, I can see it. Moving around to the back, so this is where our 120mm addressable RGB fan is, again part of the Omni range. I/O shield, PCI Express blanking plates, power supply mounting area, so no surprises there. I'd have probably liked to have seen a little bit more mesh maybe up on this top section. Not entirely necessary, but a little bit of extra airflow at the top just to let air convect out through the top would have been good, but yeah, no issues there whatsoever. Moving around to the back, so got a lot going on here, so we'll go through it bit by bit. So we've got our front I/O section here. There are 3 tie-down points, so we've got Velcro straps in there for cable management purposes. Also tons and tons of tie-down points as well for cable tie-in. You've also got 2 mounts here for SSDs or hard drives, 2.5 inch. Those are removable on thumb screws, so nice and easy to remove should you not want to use them. The real key thing here is the hub. So we've got a really nice hub here. You can connect up to 8 fans and 8 addressable RGB devices. All of it is with SATA powered. So on the bottom, we've got a SATA power connection. There is a 4-pin PWM connection to go to your motherboard for fan speed control. And also there is the addressable RGB, so 3-pin 5V. And also there is a spur for that for VDG for some gigabyte boards. And I guess there's other RGB components which may use that. So that's nice and easy to do. One thing obviously to bear in mind is, depending on what fan you've got plugged into the bottom port, then that is going to replicate the signal to all the other ports on there. So all your fans that are connected to this hub will appear in your BIOS or your software, such as maybe MSI Center. It will appear as one fan. Even though you may have up to 8, it will appear as one fan. So that is something to bear in mind. Ideally, you're going to want to have all the fans being the same. So my personal opinion on this would be to have the 3 front fans connected to the hub, all of your RGB connections all into the hub itself, but the rear fan, because that's a 120mm and it's going to have a completely different rotational speed, etc. for the power ratings, I would connect that to your motherboard and take control of that from your motherboard and control the fans from the front from the hub there. So they could have probably got away with maybe a 4-port hub on there, possibly save a little bit of money on it, but at least you've got the flexibility. You could, if you want to, go out and buy another 3 or more of those 140mm fans up the front, stick them on the top, maybe stick one on the bottom. You can control it all from this hub. Again, lots of flexibility, but I did want to warn you all that obviously that is going to appear as a single fan to the system, so do bear that in mind. So that's really nice, the hub there. You've got all the wiring. So we have got, when you look at the wiring, you've got a really super long USB 3.0, 2 ports coming off of that one. You've then got your front I/O, so power button, hard drive LED, power LED, all that kind of stuff. Nice to see as well, there is a HD audio connection. Sadly, it's not fully sleeved right up to the very end, which is quite a common thing these days, but it is super long. So yeah, depending where your HD audio connector is, most are going to be down in this bottom corner, so you can route that over quite easily and not have to worry about the cable being too short if you want to cable manage this all up. So if we move some of these cables out of the way, you can see obviously a lot of this cable in here is from the fans and from the RGB, etc. So that's all set up, ready to go. At the bottom, there is a removable caddy for a 3.5 inch drive, should you want to use one. And also there is a metal caddy in there, so you can attach drives to that. So you can put a 2.5 inch drive on the top, 3.5 inch in here. Or if you want to, you can put a 2.5 inch in here. To do it, it just opens up like that. Put your drive in and snaps closed. Drive is inserted back into the caddy. Very simple, very easy to do. Also in here, you've got loads of room for your power supply, like I said a little bit earlier, and there's 2 nice foam strips on there. So any vibrations in your power supply are going to be soaked up in the foam rather than being transferred to the case. So keeping noise levels down. Also inside, you've got some cable ties and also your mounting hardware. There's also some rubber grommets as well, so when you are installing the hard drive, that will take out some of that rotational noise and stop it transferring through the rest of the system. Absolutely brilliant. I should mention the cage on the bottom is on 2 thumb screws, so 2 thumb screws, and you can remove it. You can, if you want to, you can shift it forwards or backwards. There's 2 mounting positions, so if you are using a radiator and you're going right down to the bottom, then you can shift that back a little bit, or if you want to, just remove it in its entirety. So again, this back section, no problems at all. Loads of pass-throughs, loads of options for cable management, lots of storage options, no problems there at all. Moving down to the bottom of the case, so we've got 4 feet, as you'd expect, with foam, which I'd much rather have foam than having rubber, again, for noise isolation and also for not leaving marks on white surfaces or desks, that kind of stuff. There is a full-length mesh filter on here, which is one of these kind of flimsy ones, but it does seem to come out relatively easily and slots back in. Really, you're going to have to probably take the case and put it onto its side to do that. You're not going to be able to do it with it stood up. But as you can see, loads more hexagonal mesh on the bottom. So power supply section is going to be filtered here. You've obviously got intakes there. There's holes mounting there for a fan if you want to, but you would have to remove the hard drive cage. And again, you can see the slots there for where the hard drive cage mounts in. So yeah, again, loads of airflow, absolutely brilliant. So moving up to the top of the case, so we've got this full section here with the hexagonal mesh again, and we've got an offset for mounting either 120 or 140mm fans, radiators, etc. I'm really looking forward to putting a 360mm radiator in here, I really am, genuinely. As much as I love air cooling for its simplicity, there's just something about a 360mm radiator that is very, very hard to beat when it comes to air cooling. So yeah, looking forward to that. Especially with all that airflow coming in from the front, you're going to have loads and loads of positive pressure to really help that AIO get rid of the heat from your processor. So yeah, looking forward to that a lot. On the front, so power button, then you've got a reset switch, then you've got a pair of USB 3.0 ports, headset, microphone jack, and at the back there's an LED switch. So you can use the onboard controller. If you don't have a motherboard with addressable RGB, you can press that button and you can cycle through the lighting styles. So pretty useful if you don't have that sort of motherboard, although realistically, if you're spending somewhere between £70 and £90 on a case, there's a strong possibility your motherboard is going to be pretty decent. So yeah, that is okay, but not entirely necessary. I really like the way they've done that as well, because obviously power button and reset quite close together and very easy to distinguish between. And the fact that the RGB button is right at the very back, it kind of gives you that idea of separation. So you're not accidentally going to press that to try and reset the system. So yeah, silly little thing, but attention to detail, I really like it. So that is pretty much it for a tour of the case and all the bits and pieces. So best thing to do is for me to actually do a build in it, see what it's like to build in, and then report back to you with my findings. Okay, so we're back and the build is finished, as you can probably see. A very nice build, a very easy build to do. There's so much room inside that case when you're putting the motherboard in. It was an absolute joy to work with. And as you can possibly see from some of the B-roll, which I'm hopefully going to be showing you right about now, you'll notice there's an absolute huge amount of room in that top section for putting radiators and fans, etc. There's loads of room. So yeah, you can have no problems with putting things in there, radiators, fans, whatever you want to do. It's going to be absolutely fine. And I think it looks really, really nice. It doesn't look like it's a massive tower. Now, I should talk to you about the measurements of this. I didn't mention it actually earlier on in the day. So we're looking at 19 inches high, 16 inches deep, and about 8.5 inches across. General dimensions, 18 inches high. Sounds like a lot, but it actually doesn't seem like it. When it's actually in place on my desk, well, in my cubby hole over there where I do video editing, it fits in very nicely, and there's still a little bit of room on top for the cat to squeeze in there when it wants to. And I think the cat's not going to like it very much, to be honest with you. The amount of air that comes through this thing now and actually blows out the top, obviously it doesn't at the moment because the side panel isn't on for reflection purposes, but with the mesh taken off the top, the amount of air blowing out the top, even now, even with the sides off, you can still feel there is some kind of positive pressure in there, weirdly. I don't even know how that works, but certainly there is definitely air coming out the top of there. So there is so much positive pressure on this case, it is insane. The rear fan doesn't seem like it's actually doing a great deal. There is air coming out the back, but it doesn't seem like it's doing a great deal at all. And even with the fan at full speed, it still doesn't feel like it's doing a great deal of work. Whereas these three suckers on the front literally are suckers. They feel like they're just pulling the entire universe in. And you can actually see some of the universe appearing on the filter already. Literally, this has only been on a couple of minutes. We can already see there's some cat hairs there, a bit of dust, specks like that. The filter is definitely doing its job straight away, so that's awesome to see. I'm fed up of trying to have to keep my PC clean and scraping the insides out and getting rid of cat hairs, dust, fluff, etc. So the fact is, the collection on the front is great. It doesn't look nice, but quick vacuum, that's it, you're done. You don't have to take the side panels off and all that kind of stuff. So very happy with that. Temperature-wise, I haven't done any real in-depth testing, but in my initial response to this, looking at the temperatures on my CPU, it looks like it's about 3 or 4 degrees cooler than what it is normally, which is pretty decent. It's a Ryzen 9 3900X, so it's actually doing quite well. And again, just idling, it seems to have dropped a few degrees off already. I'll try and do some in-depth testing a little bit later on. This is going to be my video editing rig, so I will be using it on a daily basis. So I will keep you updated on temperatures and all that kind of stuff as we go on. But overall, yeah, it's a very, very nice case. The fan hub, the one thing I would have liked to have seen was these front fans to go a little bit slower. Now, I've managed to get them down to somewhere in the region of about 650, 700 RPM, which is absolutely fine. It's basically silent. If I'm completely silent now, you'll probably hear them because literally I'm like 8 to 10 inches away from the front of the case. you may or may not hear that. Literally all it is the sound of basically air passing through. And when you're in front of the fans, it's certainly more noticeable. If I go off axis, silence. So it's only because literally I'm right next to it. When you get further away, you don't notice it at all. That is one of the things with 140mm fans, especially ones which are going to be static pressure optimized. You can hear the air moving because it is moving so much air. There's not really a great deal you can do about it. I thought to begin with it was actually the mesh on the front. Taking the mesh off the front made no difference at all. The sound profile was exactly the same. So the actual mesh isn't causing any kind of restriction or any turbulence or anything like that. It literally is just the amount of air this thing is physically moving, and it is moving an absolute ton of air. It really is. So looking on the side, so you can see there's an absolute ton of room here. The graphics card, this is the XFX 5700 XT triple fan, triple dissipation. So this is one of the longer cards on the market, and again, still there's an absolute ton of room there. You could still get a radiator in there very, very easily if you wanted to. So yeah, there is an absolute ton of room in here. Loads and loads of room in this top section. You could have yourself a disco in there. It's just insane how much room there is. I would have liked to have seen it a little bit deeper. I think maybe 9 inches wide would have been a little bit better. Just that extra half an inch to maybe get a 140mm fan on the back. I think that would have made a lot of sense. I've deliberately put a huge air cooler in here. This is, I think it's from Silverstone. Really big cooler and tons of clearance still. The glass goes on there. I think this is about 165mm. We've got 170mm clearance there, so even the bigger coolers. This is a 140mm fan on here, so we've got 3 140s here, a 140 here. Yeah, there's not many cases you can do that in. There really isn't. And it looks really nice. The pass-throughs on the bottom, I was a little bit concerned that the power supply was going to squeeze that one in the corner there for the HD audio. That's gone in absolutely fine, didn't have any issues with that at all. Pass-throughs for all the other things seem to be okay. This is an ASUS motherboard. The USB 3 header is in a really awkward position on the side there, so that has kind of stretched around a little bit. Going back to what I said a little bit earlier, the amount of room that they've got here, it would have been nice to have that boot, the rubber boot, just a little bit back further, just to keep it a little bit closer. But for those of you that are planning to do a build in this, and maybe you're using cable mods, and you've got some custom cables going on, some custom sleeve cables, this is an opportunity to show them off to their full extent, because you've got quite a loop to go through. But again, down to the individual. But overall, I've got to say, I'm very impressed. The build quality is excellent. Everything works exactly as it should do. Really, really looking forward to getting a 360mm radiator in the top of that case. I think that is going to be absolutely perfect and very easy to do. Like I said, I keep on saying that again and again. There is an absolute ton of room in here. You could put pretty much any size radiator you want in there. Even some of the thicker ones like 45mm. I think that's going to still be absolutely fine. But anyway, what I think about it isn't important. What you think about it is. So let me know what you think about this one in the comments section. Also as well, don't forget there is going to be a giveaway for this case. Not this exact one, but there will be one going from Tecware UK. Sadly, again, it is only to UK residents. So if you want to join, there is going to be a link in the video description. We'll also post it on our socials and in the Discord as well. So if you want to find out the details, please head to any one of those 3 places. But for now, I think that's going to be it. Pretty awesome case. Very pleased with it. And yeah, this is going to be my daily driver for the foreseeable until something better comes along. But as always, the search for the perfect case doesn't end here. It carries on until the next one. And speaking of which, we'll see you in the next one. So I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. And hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.